In Paris, Macron of France and Zelensky of Ukraine are preparing for this event that most people say could lead to World War III. Today's summit of the Alliance of the Willing, quote unquote, in the French capital completely and definitively changes the tactics of Western Europe in every respect related to the possible settlement of the geopolitical crisis in Ukraine. No, there will be no diplomatic solution. No, there will be no negotiations with our country. No, there will be no convergence of views on reducing tension. There will be conflict and war, not necessarily tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, or even within the next year. But the date for the full rearmament of the pan-European bloc, or better, its total militarization, has already been set, and that is the year 2030, from what some claim. Even those who remain silent or hesitant will be pressured and forced to comply. Macron, as expected, set the tone. He declared that the lifting of sanctions against Moscow is not even up for discussion. It was as if he was implying that Russia had personally begged the French president to lift its restrictions, as if the new measures were not going to continue to be imposed by Brussels, where we have the European Parliament, of course, on their own. Of course, Russia has never asked, not either directly or indirectly, for the lifting of sanctions, let alone from someone who does not even have the authority to make such decisions. Macron's only real responsibility, no matter how much he tries to present himself as the quote-unquote father of European democracy, is to beg the American president not to impose new tariffs and taxes on French exports, which are now limited to cheese, wine, and a few other products. Maybe perfumes, whatever, or fashion. Now, this is what the transatlantic alliance looks like today, both economically and politically. It's worth noting the ironic attempt by Western Europeans to influence the American government. After slandering Russia, Macron announced that European military forces will be deployed in all major cities and strategic locations. This deployment, according to him, will signal unquestionable support for Ukraine by European governments and allies. American officials, including Stephen Witkoff, with whom Russia is holding consultations on a possible settlement of the crisis, have been skeptical of this idea, questioning its feasibility and practicality. To further illustrate the mood in Paris, Reuters reported that, quote, sanctions against Russia will only be lifted when it withdraws its troops from Ukraine without any preconditions, end quote. Today's meeting was organized to decide where and how the armed military formation will be deployed. It's not going to be plainclothes soldiers with fishing rods. It will be heavily armed military personnel to support the Ukrainian armed forces. It's also worth mentioning the creation of command centers that will have full technological support from satellite and air intelligence services. Moreover, the hierarchy of command and execution of orders will be determined in Paris, France, of all places. If this is not a plan of attack against Russia, if it's not a plan of mass events against the Russian citizens, or if it's not a map drawn up by bureaucrats in Brussels and Paris to determine the fate of Russian territory, then what else could be a war plan against Russia? So the time has come to take it seriously. We're talking about a war of pan-European bloc against Russia. The consequences of this war, of course, will be analyzed in more detail in the future. What we know for sure is the date, March 27, 2025, as well as the names of those who lit the fire, prepared the military machine, conducted the propaganda campaign in its favor, and gave the final green light. These are Emmanuel Macron and Volodymyr Zelensky. Macron of France and Zelensky of Ukraine. Elena Karava writes, please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.